We chose to use the costumes that the doctors used from the bubonic plague. So these plague doctors, they would wear these masks, and inside the masks they would have herbs that they believed would protect them. They used to believe that diseases and viruses and infections were passed through the air. They didn't have the science that we have today. And so that was the way that they treated people. We know it was very ineffective. We know that millions and millions of people died. And why did we get the bubonic plague? Well, humans were crammed in such unsanitary conditions. We were forced to live in the same way that we make animals live now. So we have one facility in the UK which has 23,000 pigs crammed into one facility. Those pigs have never walked on grass in their life, they've never rolled in mud, they sleep on concrete floors, and most of them sleep in cages. They are literally sleeping in their own urine, in their own feces, and this is a big way that diseases get spread. We've had swine flu, we've had bird flu, we've had mad cow diseases, all from animal farming, animal agriculture, and we really don't know what's going to be the next one that's going to wipe us out. So we use this as a symbol. Most people know about the bubonic plague, they learned about it in school, they know the devastating effects that it had. We don't want the next disease to wipe out the human race.
Prime Minister, we are writing as a broad coalition to shine light on animal agriculture as a key driver in the emergence of deadly diseases. We are urging the UK government and governments around the world to join together to take integrated action to prevent future zoonotic pandemics. The COVID-19 tragedy has caused untold suffering to millions and future global pandemics, along with the climate emergency, represent public health threats of unprecedented magnitude. Yet, whilst governments seek to stop the spread of the virus, you are failing to address its cause, which lies squarely at the feet of animal agriculture and exploitation. Scientists have warned for years that human exploitation of the natural world, our relentless encroachment into wildlife habitats, the trade in wild animals, and seismic global growth of intensive livestock farming is creating a perfect storm for the spillover of diseases from animals to people. 75% of new infectious diseases originate in animals, and the risks are increasing. But governments repeatedly ignore these warnings. This pandemic has shown us that our health depends on the health of animals and our shared environment. But if you continue to ignore the relationship between the emergence of disease, animal agriculture, biodiversity loss, and climate change, we will become ever more vulnerable to future pandemics. Governments must tell the truth. Animal agriculture causes global pandemics. The warnings from COVID-19 could not be starker. We act now, stop exploiting the natural world and animals, and transition towards a plant-based food system, or face future zoonotic pandemics of catastrophic proportions. We have been warned. COVID-19's ticking time bomb was preventable. Coronavirus is a zoonotic disease that jumped the species barrier from animals to humans, possibly in a Chinese wet market in Wuhan. Stressed animals kept in tiny cages and close confines are slaughtered on site. Their feces, urine and blood mixing, providing optimal conditions for disease formation. The animal suffering is profound. More than 700,000 people have died of COVID-19. But do not blame the Chinese. Tragedy from zoonotic disease has happened before. HIV and Ebola from the consumption of monkeys in Africa, MERS from the camels in the Middle East, and do not blame the trade of wild animals and the consumption, because whilst COVID-19 is linked to this, other dangerous zoonoses have emerged from chicken, pig and cattle farming. Governments must tell the truth. This pandemic has happened because people kill, eat and exploit animals. Dr. Michael Greger says, if you want to create global pandemics, then build factory farms. And the truth is, the next pandemic is on our doorstep and on our plates. The demand for cheap meat has fueled the huge expansion of industrial farming. The UK slaughters over 1 billion animals a year. From intensive units, we have 1,770 mega farms, many holding over 1 million chickens. The largest, a pig unit, holds 23,000 pigs, and numbers are rising. Confining animals in intensive units is the biggest cause of animal cruelty in Britain today, and every single factory farm represents a public health threat. Animals in industrial facilities are kept in conditions so overcrowded, unsanitary and stressful that they provide an ideal breeding grounds for pathogens to share genetic information, mutate and spread. Butchery and the consumption of meat also provide pathways for zoonotic infection. Over half of human pandemics have come from domestic livestock, including measles and smallpox. Spanish flu is thought to have originated in America, in an American chicken farm, and the 2009 swine flu pandemic emerged from an intensive pig unit in North America. Recent outbreaks of avian influenza and swine flu have led to mass slaughter. Millions of animals buried and burnt alive, their suffering incalculable. A new swine flu strain in China is believed to be a potential pandemic concern. Indeed, one tiny genetic shift and the next avian or swine flu could devastate human populations too, and COVID-19 will be remembered as a dress rehearsal. We must heed this warning. Whether it's a pathogen filled with wildlife market in Asia or an intensive livestock farm in Europe, the problem is the same. Our incessant demand for meat is creating deathly disease and global pandemics. COVID-19 has also exposed the fragility of our industrialized food system. Low-paid meat workers disproportionately affected, with many slaughterhouses forced to close, resulted in human tragedy and catastrophic animal cruelty. Yet governments continue to bail out archaic food systems. The UK government remains silent on these risks as it seeks a swift return to business as usual, even embarking on a possible USA trade deal which will further fuel livestock intensification, animal cruelty, antibiotic resistance risk, and all of our safety. But there is another option. The global trauma caused by COVID-19 must be the tipping point. Our recovery means instigating an urgent shift away from unsustainable animal agriculture. And we're calling on a worldwide alliance of individuals, cross-party political leaders, scientists, NGOs and business stakeholders to support, implement and accelerate the transition towards a plant-based food system and healthy, prospering ecosystems. We, the undersigned, demand that governments tell the truth and publicly address the connection between animal farming, exploitation and threats of zoonotic disease. An inter-county integrated strategic board is set up by a citizens' assembly to review the links between animal agriculture, hunting and farming of wildlife, deforestation and zoonotic disease. We must transition away from farming of all animals and move towards a prospering plant-based society. We must fund and support farmers to transition from animal farming towards producing sustainable plant-based protein crops. Thank you.
That's me just gonna.
Climate justice now. Gonna rise like water. Gonna turn this system round. In the words of my great grandfather, sing animal justice now. People gonna rise like water. They're gonna turn this system round. In the words of my great-granddaughter, sing climate justice now. That the side or in the front, yeah?
We don't know what disease is going to be the next one that makes humans extinct, but we can almost be certain it's going to be a result of humans messing with animals, exploiting animals, we chop them up, we eat them raw, we experiment on them, we change their DNA in our laboratories. We need to stop exploiting animals before Mother Nature creates another pandemic like we've seen now, and it may even be worse.